Hello, my name is Rickard, and in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can use brushes, overlays, and presets to enhance your images in Photoshop. So all of the overlays, presets, and other elements that I use in the course of this tutorial are part of my Photoshop compositing toolkit, which right now I'm selling for just $2.99. So go ahead, download that if you would like to follow along. Otherwise, brace yourselves. We're going to dive into Photoshop and see how we can use various actions, overlays, elements, textures to enhance our images. Okay, so I've added an additional folder in my Photoshop compositing toolkit called Image Assets, and we're going to use these and just kind of go through them. I'm going to quickly show you how you can put some of these tools to use, and hopefully you'll be able to figure out how to do that in your own projects as well. So let's go to File, Open, and we're going to go into this folder and just pick the first one, Actions. For this one, I'm going to show you how to use the lightsaber action and also how to use one of the atmosphere brushes. So first, I need to isolate which part I want to turn into my lightsaber. And this actually works for anything that you want to glow in your scene. But for this, I want to take the blade here and turn it into a lightsaber. So first, I'm going to go onto the pen tool. I want to make sure it's on path, not shape. And I'm just going to select from where the blade is. So to right about there, and I can use the pen tool to make this curve nicely. Do the same here. Good. Then I'm going to right mouse click, go to make selection. I'm going to leave this at 0. I'm going to make a new layer and we'll call this glow. Although what you name it is not very important. And then I want to fill it with my foreground color, which is white. So I'm going to do that by doing Option Delete. Then I want to deselect. I'm going to go up to my glow here. I'm going to select the lightsaber glow action and then hit the play button. All right, so I'm getting this notice that in the next step I need to select the color. So I'm going to hit continue, and I want to push this a little bit more toward a green color. So by just sliding this, I can change the color of my lightsaber, as you can see. So we'll just select a color right around here and hit OK. All right, so we now have our lightsaber. You can see we actually have a glow set. If we want to increase the color, we can always take this color glow and duplicate it. And you can see that's going to make it much stronger. Maybe take the opacity down about halfway. So I think that looks pretty nice. All right, next I want to show you one of the atmosphere brushes that comes with the compositing toolkit. You can see these here, advanced smoke and fog. So I'm just going to take the advanced smoke one first. We're going to select this bright kind of greenish color, and then in a new layer, which we'll call fog, we're going to just start painting, and you can see what that brush does. It creates this really nice fog effect. Now it's a little too strong, so let's go ahead, undo, and what you want to adjust here is the flow of the brush. So let's set that to 25. We can make the brush even bigger, then just paint a little bit here. So something like that looks really nice. It looks like there's some kind of atmosphere or environment that this blade is making glow. We're going to put this on screen, maybe add a mask to it, and then with a black brush we can kind of paint around here where maybe we don't want it quite as strong. And because it's painting with the same brush, it kind of keeps that organic feel to that smoke and fog. So there you go. We've used one of the actions and one of the brushes, and here you can see the before and the after. Pretty nice little effect there. So let's go ahead and close this. I'm not going to save. And let's go to File, Open, and open our next file. And for this one, I want to show you how you can use some of the textures to create a nice, interesting backdrop for your portraits. So first things first, I need to separate him from the background. So I'm just going to go to my quick select tool here and click on select subject. I'm going to go to select and mask. That looks really good. I think we just need to get rid of this. So I'm going to hold down option and then scroll up here. I think I saw one other spot. Yeah, right here. So again, hold down option. We'll just paint that area. Something like that. And maybe with this tool, we can try to get this area. And didn't do a great job. So we'll do it manually like this. Good. That looks good. Let's hit OK. I'm going to do Command J. That's going to put him on his own layer. You can also, if you have a selection and you don't want to cut it out, you can make a copy of the entire layer and just put a mask on it. So there you actually have the original layer. This, I would suggest, if you want to come back and kind of clean up that selection a bit, always better to use a mask than not using a mask. So here we want to make sure our brush or our selection is not feathered. And just go like this. And then option delete to fill with our foreground color, which is black. Okay, so now if we open up our library, we can kind of scroll down here and we can see these various concrete textures. I'm going to take this one, concrete texture 16, throw that in here, put it underneath, and then put it on overlay. Now right now it's brightening up the background a bit. I don't really want that. So what I can do is just do Command M to bring up my curve. And I'm just going to make this a bit darker. So right about there looks nice. And then if I want to add a little bit of texture over him as well, kind of give this more of a painted look, what I can do is make a copy of this above him. But for this one, I don't want it to be as contrasty. So I'm going to open up my curve. I'm going to hold down option, which gives me the reset option. Click on the reset. And then I'm just going to bring up the bottom of the curve and bring down the top. And that's just going to reduce the contrast. So something right about there. And if we turn this on and off, you can see there's some of that texture being transferred to him, but it's not a lot. It's very kind of a weak version of that texture. But it's enough to just put a little bit more texture on him. And I think that looks pretty nice. If we wanted to add kind of a drop shadow, we could do that as well. Hold down Command, click on our mask, which is going to select the transparency. Add a new layer. We can call this one shadow. Default our colors by clicking D so that they're black and white, and then option delete to fill again. And then we can just move this kind of here. You can tell the light's hitting him pretty strong there, so his shadow would be somewhere around here. We're going to go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Just blur that a bit. And then take down the opacity to something like that. And there you go. We've used some of our textures to create a new background and also to just put a little bit of texture on top of him. Let's go ahead and close this. Next, I'm going to open this curves presets. And there's two files here. I'm going to open the one that's not O2 first. This is a portrait. And what I want to show you here is just some of the curve presets that you get with the compositing toolkit. So let's go ahead and add a curves adjustment layer. And if we click under preset, because we loaded these, you can actually see them here. I'm going to show you just what these do. So let's select the first one, that's blue shadows. You can see that's made the shadows blue. It's also added a little bit of yellow into the rest of him. It's nice for portraits. It's kind of got a vintage look. Lomography is going to push everything more toward kind of a faded yellow look. It's kind of like an old low quality camera. Neon really pushes up the fluorescent kind of magenta and blue colors. Polaroid looks, well, kind of like an old Polaroid photo. It is nice for portraits where you kind of want to get that old look. It even has somewhat of a painted look because it's pushing a lot of cyan into the shadows. Next we have Santa Monica. This is made more for landscapes or kind of street photography, but you can see it gives everything a very golden glow type of look. And then finally tintype gives the appearance of an old tintype, so kind of an aged look to your photo. I think that does look quite nice on portraits, but it also works well on street photography. So there you can see that. Let's close this out, and I want to show you those same ones on a street photograph. That's this O2 file. You can just see how some of these work quite well on a street photo. So let's go to blue shadows. That looks pretty nice. But look at that lomography there. So that's the before and after, and it just gives it a whole different look with the one click here. Polaroid, Santa Monica, there you can see, kind of gives it that sun-drenched look. And finally tintype. So those are the curve presets. Next, let's go ahead and close this and open up the flares. Here I want to show you what you can do with some of the flares that come with your pack. So let's go to our library again, and let's scroll up here. And let's take this first flare here, drag that in. I'll go ahead and minimize that, and then we can just make this bigger. Click on our check mark, and we want to put this on screen. And now we have this flare that we can just move around and put wherever we want. And generally you want to line them up with a light source that's already in your file. So in this case I would put it right there, and maybe go back in here, select this one here, and maybe put this one, maybe put that on screen as well. Maybe line this one up with this light here. And for this we might even want to use our lightsaber effect. So let me turn off the flares real quick, and I'm just going to go on to my magic wand tool and select, let's put our tolerance on 35, which I believe is the default. I'm just going to select this white area here and this white area here. That looks good. And I'm going to make a layer called glow and fill that with white. And then let's run our lightsaber action again. We're going to make this one blue. And now this flare is just kind of doing double duty to give us some nice little light there. I can even double it up if I want, make it stronger. So that's what you can do with flares. This is a quick example, but really any image that has a light source, you can really punch those up, give the image more of a sci-fi quality. All right, next let's go to File Open, and I want to open this gradient maps. And here I want to show you what you can do with these color grading gradient maps. So if I scroll down to the bottom here, you can see them here. And what we want to do is we want to add a gradient map. So let's go ahead and do that first. And what a gradient map does is it maps the left side of your gradient to the light colors and the right side of your gradient to your light colors. So in this case it's inverted. So if we reverse it, you can see this gradient, because it just goes from black to white, is making the image black and white. But we're going to actually go down here and look at our sample gradients, and let's select this one here. And here you can see it's basically made our shadows blue and it's made our highlights yellow. Now obviously this doesn't look great, it looks more like a duotone. But if I change the blending mode here to soft light, it creates a really nice color grade to your image. So here's the before and here's the after. And if I click on this, I can actually look through and see what some of these other color grades look like. So that one is similar but lighter. This one pushes my shadows more toward purple. This one is kind of a blue and teal. This one is a green and yellow color grade, a little more Western looking. This is a little more modern looking with pink in the highlights and a purple in the shadows. This is a more classic blue and yellow. This is more of a fluorescent look. And then this is more of a Polaroid look. So you get many looks with all these. And then I also have included this one here. This is kind of a starter one. So for this, what you can do is just go in here and make your own color grade by adjusting the colors. So if I wanted green in my shadows, I could do something like that. And maybe go to my highlights on this end and add maybe some red into my highlights there. And if I want to control the middle separately, this is kind of keeping all the middle colors neutral, or I could just delete that and let the blend from Photoshop do that work. So there you go. Those are your gradient maps and how you can use them for a color grade. Let's go ahead and close this. Next, we're going to go to File, Open again. And for this one, I want to show you how you can use some of the grunge layers. And this is similar to what we did with our other character who was against a gray background. But I want to show you a few others. And I want to make this look a little more painted as well. So first, let's make a copy of it. And I just want to get rid of this. So we'll go on our gradient tool, which is G on the keyboard. I want to make sure I have linear gradient and go to basic and just select foreground to transparent. So that's this middle one here. That's whatever color you have as your foreground. It's going to go from that color to no color at all. So if I select this kind of gray color here, I can go like this and just pull in that color, and you can see that's kind of getting rid of the mistakes I have here. Maybe pull this darker color in from the side so it looks a little bit more like the rest of that background. Good. All right, now I want to select her out. So we'll just go on to one of our quick selection tools and click on Select Subject. Let's go to Select and Mask. Aside from the hair, that looks pretty nice. Let's go and see if we can improve this. And that did nothing. So let's try it with this tool. It's strange that it knows what I want to select, but it doesn't select it. All right, that's going to do for our purposes. Let's do Command J. That's going to put it on its own layer. We can call this woman. And I'm going to go in here and scroll down. We used this one on the last one. Let's use one of these grunge textures. So I'm going to use this one. It kind of gives everything a painted look, which I enjoy. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger. And I'm going to put this on soft light. Now, even now it's much too strong. I can put it behind the woman, but I do kind of want it in front of her. So let's take the opacity down quite a bit. So maybe all the way to like 29. And then let's make, I'm going to hold down Option to make a copy. I'm going to put one behind her. So we have stronger texture behind her and some in front. Next, I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to put that in here as well. And just kind of double up on the texture here. So this one, because it's a pretty dark texture, I'm going to put it on screen and put it on top here. And I want, I don't want so much of it. So I'm going to do Command M and just pull down the dark. So I'm just have these highlights from it. So something like that. We can take the opacity down on that as well. And then finally, I'll take this one as well. I'm just kind of building these up. The more I put on there, the more the original image is going to look more like either a painting or kind of an old photo, which is the look that I'm going for. For this, I want something like this. And then when I do something like this, I also want to give it a color grade. So what I would do here is maybe go to curves. Actually, not curves. I'm going to go to black and white. I'm going to suck out most of the color, so I'll take the opacity down so some of that original color is there. And then also for this, I don't like what it's doing to her face here. So I can always add a mask to whichever one is doing it, or just choose all the gradients that are on top of her, put a mask, and then just paint it out of her face here. There you go. Okay, so after my black and white, I can add a curve, and we're going to use one of our presets here. I'm going to use tintype. And you can see that's given it kind of an old photo look. I might want to try Santa Monica as well. That's kind of nice. Let's try Polaroid. Polaroid kind of gives it a horror movie effect. And Lomography is a little too yellow. Ooh, blue shadow. That one's really nice. Let's do blue shadow. Maybe I want to make the highlights even yellower, so I can just go to my blue channel, pull that down a little bit more, and maybe give it a little more red as well. Something like that. Pretty happy with that. So there you can see the before and the after kind of give this more of a painterly or graphic look. Let's go ahead and close that. Next, we're going to go to File, Open. I'm going to open this light ray texture one. All right, and for this, I want to use the light ray texture. Actually, instead of this God ray one, I'm going to use this one, the stage light. And we're just going to make it look like we have a stage light coming in on the right here. So first thing first, I'm going to recrop this image. So let's go to our crop. I'm going to pull this way so that we have space. Then I'm going to go to my gradient tool again, foreground to transparent. I'm going to do the same thing, just kind of select this color and bring in a gradient from this side. Kind of make it darker. Something like that looks pretty good. Okay, then we're going to pull this in, flip it horizontally, and just size it up. So something like this, and then I'm going to put this on screen. And now we get this kind of cool look, like she's in a spotlight. And if we don't want to see the light head, we can always push that out of the frame, just make this bigger like that. Now we're just getting these nice patterned light, and we can do Command M, use our curve to adjust the amount. So if we want it to be a little more contrasty, we can just kind of put an S curve there. If we want to make it darker, we can just pull down our curve. So something like that. I think that's a little too dark, but maybe something like this looks nice. Got a nice little pattern there. And if we wanted to give this some color, we could also do that with curves. Because this is not a white brush, it's actually a black and white image, we can use our channels to give it some color. So if I wanted to give this a little bit of blue, I would go to red. Opposite of red is cyan, so that's going to give it some cyan. And then in our blue, just push that up and give it a little bit of a blue color, so something like that. All right, the other thing I want to do with this image is give it some sharpness. I feel like it's not as sharp as it could be. So to do that, I'm going to go to my actions. I'm going to show you this sharpen action. So let's hit play, and voila, you can see it's added this linear light at 50%. If I turn that on and off, you can see what it's doing. It's adding a little bit of sharpness to the image. If I want to increase that, I can increase the opacity, or I can decrease the opacity if I just want a little bit of that effect. So that is what that sharpen action does. Clarity, if you're familiar with Lightroom, clarity is kind of like sharpen, but at a broader scale. So if I run that, you can see what it's going to do. It's going to create that clarity effect that you can get in Lightroom that really doesn't have an equivalent in Photoshop. So this gives you a layer that you can adjust the opacity of, and that'll give you clarity inside Photoshop. All right, let's go ahead and close this. Next, we're going to go to File, Open again. And I want to open this maple leaves. I want to show you what you can do with some of these leaf overlays. So let's go ahead and make a copy of this layer. I want to go to one of my quick selection tools, click on Select Subject, and add a mask to her. All right, then I'm going to go to my compositing toolkit. I'm going to scroll up here to the maple leaves. We're going to drag that in here. Right away you can see what this is doing. It's kind of helping to create some depth in the scene. So I'm going to do something like this. And I want some of them in front of her and some of them behind her. So I kind of like this one in front of her. I think this one should be behind her. So what we're going to do now is basically add a mask on this, hold down Command so I get that selection, and then with a black brush we're going to paint out the ones that we don't want in this scene. So let's just big black brush here, paint out this one. For this I want the flow at 100, so we'll paint out that one. I like this. I don't think we want those there. I do like some of these coming in front of her. So something like that looks pretty nice. And then what we can also do is take one of these big ones, just kind of put that in the foreground here, and then blur the hell out of it. And that's just going to give you the appearance of, or the kind of illusion that some of these are very close to the camera here. And so that these don't look too similar, I'm going to curve this one, make it a little darker. So there you go. That's the before and that's the after. And you also have some autumn leaves and some green leaves that you can do that with. This scene works really well with the color palette using the maple leaves, but depending on the scene you can use some of these other ones. All right, let's close that. And I think we just have a couple left here. So here I want to show you the God ray on this, and that's this one here. What I'm going to do is first just select this out of the background. So again, we'll use Select Subject. It should do a fine job. If I hit Q, that's going to give me a quick mask, and I can see what it selected that it shouldn't have. One of my favorite tools is the gradient, as you've probably seen. What I can do here is just use my gradient to select out anything there. So now I just have this selected, which is what I want. I'm going to make a copy of this layer and add a mask to it. Okay, now if I go in here, I can grab this God ray, make it bigger. I'm going to make this kind of look like we've got a light shining in here. So something like this. I'm going to put this on screen. I'm going to put it behind like that, and then add a mask to it, and then with a gradient just coming up from about where the floor level is up, so that this ray comes to an end right about there. All right, and with that done, I want to give this a similar color to this environment. So what I'm going to do is do Command M to bring up my curve, just go to the red, pull that down, so we'll give this a cyan color, and then maybe in the blue just go up a tiny bit. So something like that. And then maybe I want a little bit of red coming off of this. And for that, I can use one of my atmosphere brushes here. Maybe I'll use this one, take down the flow, and just select this bright red color and kind of just tap it a few times. So something like this, maybe something like that. It just kind of gives that ambient color. Probably take down the opacity a little, so it's just a little hint of it there. The other thing I can do is in here you'll see we also have a few other overlays. Some of them are these light leaks, which are pretty cool, so maybe I can add one of these to this scene. Put that on screen. Kind of like this up here. I don't like how strong it is there, so just going to add a mask to this, go on my gradient, kind of radial gradient that one out. So I think that looks pretty nice. And then the other thing we have is this dust. And for something like this, a little bit of dust will actually help kind of get rid of this dead space down here. So we just put some dust here, put that on screen, maybe take down the opacity quite a bit. It's just going to help kind of sell this illusion here. So something like that, maybe a little stronger, kind of like this one here. So something like that, just kind of, and then maybe this other one too. This is much smaller dust. What I want to do with this dust is kind of just make it around where this light is. So in order to adjust where this is hitting, I can double click here and open my blend if, and I want to get rid of it in the dark areas so that the dust is just where the light is. Because generally when you see dust in the air, it's going to be where the light's hitting it. So we'll do something like this. And there you go. Now you can see that dust is just in those light areas. Maybe make it the full size. There you go. So you can see some of that dust, hints of it in there and in there. So there you can see what you can do with those dust ones and also with that light ray. All right, I'm going to close this. Last one I want to show you is the rose petal overlays. So we've got this cool image here. I want to select him out, so let's go to our quick selection, hit select subject, and I think that's done a decent enough job. I'm going to go ahead and add a mask to him, and for this I want to repaint the background. So I'm just going to go on my gradient again and just select kind of one of these darker colors, so something like that, maybe something not as saturated, so maybe something like this. And I do want it to be kind of darker down here and maybe a little darker like this. I kind of want the light mostly coming in from here, so something like that. We could even use this actually, or maybe one of these. Let's use one of these just to give a nice little light ray coming in like this. And I'm going to put this on soft light. Yeah, soft light. I'm going to make another copy, put it on top, and put that one on screen. So that's going to have this light kind of coming in here. It's too strong, so I'm just going to do Command M again and just bring this down until it's pretty subtle. Something like that. I also kind of want to make it a little bit yellow. So I'm going to go in here, just bring that down, bring the red up a tiny bit. Something like that. Okay, next I want to go to down here, and we've got white rose petals and we've got red ones. For this I want to use the red ones. I'm going to bring this in here, kind of give this a gladiator look. So something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and rasterize this. So just rasterize layer. When you pull something in from the library, it automatically makes it this smart object link. So you can just rasterize the layer. Now it's just pixels in your file. I'm going to go ahead and separate this petal right here from the rest. To do that, I'm just going to go to Layer, New, via Cut. And then I'm going to take this, make this one the big one, and blur it. And let's blur it again. I'll just put this one maybe somewhere here like this. And then for the others, I want to put some behind him. So I'm going to make a copy of this and just make it behind him. So it looks like we've got some different leaves falling down behind him and then some falling in front of him. We can make even a third copy and make it significantly smaller. And then for that copy, I'm going to Gaussian blurred as well. So it's just like these subtle hints back there. So something like that. Now this, in order to kind of make it all feel like it belongs together, I'm going to do a few things. So the first one is I'm just going to add a curve, and let's use one of ours. Let's use blue shadows already. That looks a lot better. And then the other thing I want to do here is make a new layer. Actually, I want to add some sharpening to it. So let's do that. A little bit of sharpening, and then also a little bit of noise. So for the noise, I'm just going to add a new layer. We can call this noise. I'm going to fill it with gray. So 50% gray here. And then go to filter, noise, add noise. Just zoom in a little here. Blur that noise. And let's blur it again a few times. And then put this on overlay. And I really like strong noise, even though that's a little too strong. So let's take it down, maybe something around 60%. Yeah, that's nice. So something like that looks really nice to me. I do think that the rose petals are a little bit too red. So maybe I would just go onto those. Do a little bit of a hue saturation shift on those, maybe push them a little bit more toward an orange color and desaturate them a bit. And because I've done it once, I can always just repeat this by holding down Option. And that's gonna, when it brings up my hue saturation, so Option Command U, it's gonna apply the same change to when I last had it. So there you have it. That's how you can use overlays, presets, actions, and textures in Photoshop to enhance your images. And hopefully you got some ideas of how you can use these in your own projects. Now, if you enjoyed this tutorial, please subscribe to my channel, leave a like, leave a comment, share this video. All of that helps. And also, again, if you want to purchase all of the assets that I used in the course of this tutorial, I am selling them for just $2.99 with my Photoshop compositing toolkit. I have included a link to that in the description of this video. And here are some other tutorials to check out. I'll see you next time.